Hello, everybody. How's it going? This is Kyle. It's been a little bit of a while since I made a video. It's been hard to find some time where the house is free and I won't be waking anybody up by making a video. So here it is, and I just thought that I'd jump right back into it, see where this takes me. So basically, what I wanted to talk about was weight loss. What seems to have worked for me in terms of weight loss, and what my background for that has been, and sort of maybe some of the mental things that you have to keep in mind, the perspective that you have to take in order to be effective at losing weight and then maintaining at the weight that you think is appropriate for you. And how do you do it, and some of the factors that are involved with, not having an easy time losing weight. So, to get to simplifying it as much as possible, the basic theory behind losing weight has to do with calories in, calories out. So, it can be a little bit more complicated than that, but basically it means that if you are eating more calories than you need to burn during the day, then your body's going to store those excess calories as fat. So if you have a maintenance amount of calories, let's say it's 2200 calories, that means that if you eat 2200 calories, then you're neither going to gain weight or lose weight. But if you eat 3,200, then you're going to gain 1,000 calories a day worth of fat, which ends up being 2 pounds of fat a week. And if you eat 1,200 calories a day, then you'll lose 2 pounds of fat a week, because 500 calories a day adds up to 3,500 calories a week, which is 1 pound of fat. So 1,000 calories a day adds up to 7,000 calories a week, which is 2 pounds of fat. So if you eat 1,000 calories less than your maintenance, you will lose 2 pounds of fat a week. And if you eat 1,000 more, you'll gain 2 pounds of fat a week. So a lot of time in American culture, and I live in Canada, but it's a similar thing, there's a lot of sort of misguided miscommunication about what is the best way to lose weight. Thinking of things as like, oh, this is a healthy food, so I can eat as much of it as I want. Some of the things like the government propaganda of, here's the food pyramid, and you have to eat, 7 to 9 servings of grain a day. And a lot of it's very confusing, and I think people get, just kind of a jumble and don't really know what to do. Whereas I think that calories in, calories out, although it might be, maybe not exactly correct, because perhaps some people do simply, transfer more energy into fat versus muscle. Some people, their body naturally stores excess calories as muscle more than fat, but more or less, the calories in, calories out thing is what helped me last year in my own life of sort of watching my weight and trying to get to a lower weight. I ended up losing 50 pounds last year. Now the unfortunate part is, since December I've gained back like about 20 pounds. So in total I lost 30 pounds and gained back. I lost 50 and gained back 20. But basically that was the principle that I started following, was calories in, calories out. So you just have to get a smaller amount of calories a day. So basically people think, like Oreos and chips and cookies and chocolate cake and all this stuff, the rich stuff, it's like, I need to punish myself and I can't have any of this if I want to lose weight. Now, the truth of the matter is that some foods have a higher amount of calories than others, and that's that, cookies, chocolate cake, Oreo milkshake kind of stuff, unfortunately, that does just have more calories than like cauliflower and carrots and things like that. Um, so, if you are going to eat something like Oreos and cookies and milkshakes and all this kind of, super unhealthy food, be aware that a sort of a smaller proportion of that is going to equal out to more calories. Take for example the difference between my brother brought home some ice cream, some Ben and Jerry's, and I looked and I think it was about 450 calories for a cup. So, versus a cup of the sort of cauliflower veggies, the Chinese mix of veggies in the freezer, that amount of calories was it's about 40 for a cup. So the difference between 450 calories for a cup of food versus 40. So there's a huge difference there, and that's the kind of thing where you keep in mind, like, yeah, you can actually have ice cream and lose weight. You can have Oreos, you can have chocolate, you can have whatever you want, but the fact of the matter is that it's going to take a lot less of that to satisfy you than it would take, vegetables and cauliflower and a potato, eggs, things like that, higher in protein. And so that's something that, well, I guess I could kind of go into like what exactly I did to lose weight, because that's what I'm trying to do now, is trying to emulate what I did last year, and then just kind of following that script basically to get to my goal weight. And so basically what I ended up doing, I had, how I lost maybe the first 30 or maybe 25 pounds was I did intermittent fasting. So with intermittent fasting, I didn't do it exactly. Intermittent fasting is where you just don't eat anything for a certain amount of hours during the day. So, you don't eat anything for 16 hours. And then you have an eating window of like 8 hours. So for me, that's kind of what I did. The only difference is that I drank coffee with cream in it, so technically you're not supposed to drink anything with calories in it. I think you can basically just have water. Maybe you can have black coffee, but I'm not sure on that. But yeah, I basically stuck to that, and it helped quite a bit. I think, for my intermittent fasting, I started skipping breakfast and lunch, and now since I'd say a year and a half, I rarely eat breakfast or lunch, so I've kept that habit with me. And you find with losing weight that it is a lot of habit building, of trying to build the appropriate habits and then trying to implement them into your life, and then over time it just becomes natural. Like for me, since last year, yeah, I just don't have breakfast and lunch. And I mean, like, if I'm at work or something, maybe around like 11:30, my stomach might gurgle a little bit because I'm a little bit hungry. But skipping breakfast and lunch for me hasn't ended up being really that big of a deal. Like I drink quite a bit of coffee, so I usually drink coffee to get through that feeling. But it's not as imposing as one might think. Now, maybe it's not for everybody. I think maybe not everybody is into intermittent fasting, or maybe some people, they just can't get through their day without breakfast and lunch. But for me, I found it to be pretty reasonable. So that's what I did. That's where I started last year. I was 230 pounds, and then I started doing intermittent fasting, and after about 3 months or so, 4 months, I got down to 205. So I lost 25 pounds just doing that. But then I ended up stalling for a while, and I wasn't losing any weight. And I was confused about, like, why am I stalling? Why am I not losing weight? And then basically what I realized was, in doing some research, going on forums on Reddit and things like that, is that a lot of it was calories in, calories out. So the thing with intermittent fasting is that it means you'll skip a window of eating where you can take in more calories. But then in that last, say, 8 hours of your day, you can still eat back as many calories to hit maintenance, or eat too many. Like, think about if you're fasting all day and then you have, 4 cups of ice cream. Well, they're each, 450 calories. So you've got up to almost like 2,000 calories within, the 30 minutes that it would take you to eat that ice cream. So intermittent fasting is good, but you have to go back to the simple logic. The truth of why you lost weight in the first place is because you were reducing the amount of calories. So I kept the intermittent fasting, I kept skipping breakfast and lunch, but then what I would do is I would eat whatever I wanted for supper, but then after supper basically stick to popcorn and carrots for my snacks. So popcorn does have calories to it, but it's a pretty filling snack. And then carrots, also you have to eat a ton of them. You can't get fat on carrots. It's impossible. It's they're so heavy, so much fiber, and it's tough to eat a carrot. To eat a lot of them, it's a grueling task, right? So, and maybe try gruel as well. No, but so my plan was basically, I'd eat whatever I want for supper, and then after that, just popcorn and carrots, and that ended up putting me, I think, at about 1,200 calories a day, which my maintenance, I think, was about 2,200. So, that put me at 1,000 calorie deficit. So I was losing 2 pounds a week doing that. So I think that's what helped me. I ended up losing 25 more pounds doing that, and that got me through that stall is because I was able to break through the, eating lower calories. So that's what I'm trying to do now, is get back to that routine of, skip breakfast and lunch, have what I want for supper, and then, light snacks for the rest of the evening to, make me full, kind of thing. Now, the thing of okay, having whatever I want for supper, now, obviously, try not to have, like an 1,800 calorie thing. Sometimes if you go out and eat at restaurants, you can end up, eating so many calories, it's insane. You end up eating, you can eat 2,000 calories. I've gone out for breakfast at a place called Ricky's, which is kind of like a Denny's sort of style breakfast, and it was more than 2,000 calories for the breakfast. So, if you are going to eat whatever you want for supper, maybe try to lessen the amount of calories, lessen that. But for me, I found it to be, this is a thing where it's like, well, I didn't have to really think about what I had for supper too hard. I could have pizza, I could have pasta, whatever. I didn't have to feel like I'm having this this meal for rabbits or something for supper, and think too much about it, because I think also what ends up hampering a diet is you end up having to think too much about it, and it becomes too mental. And anything mental, it puts a strain on a person, and it makes it difficult to keep with it, because it's, mental effort is going into this thing, mental calories and stuff. So, I think you want to make it as automatic as possible, and I think for different people it's going to look differently. I would say for some people it's probably going to end up looking like, having some of those ice cream, cookies, chips kind of stuff, just so that you don't have to think about it, and just you can have a little bit of that, and it's easy for you. And if it's easy for you, then great. I found for myself I've had to cut out cookies and chocolate and all that, because I just can't fit it into my eating window, and if I do, I end up eating way too much of it. It's very hard for me to have one cookie. For me, I have to have 5 or 10 or something like that. So I think for different people it looks differently, and I think you just have to kind of find the sort of pattern that works for you. I would say one other thing is that we live in a culture that is not oriented towards, people being at a low weight. So there's two major things I think that have caused the obesity epidemic in the United States, but in the world at large. Places like Scotland and the UK and Canada, Australia, but even now in places like, from what I've heard, like South Korea and like Turkey and stuff like that, Italy, like people are getting fatter, and apparently, from what I've read, there are more fat people in the world now than there are underweight people, which is, maybe that's a good thing because people aren't dying, but I think generally people are healthier and look better at a lower weight, and maybe that's a bit controversial if you're talking to some of the healthy at any size people, or the people who are huge into combating hatred against fat people. And I have no hatred at all towards anybody that is overweight or obese. I am there, I think, overweight, and I've been there in terms of obesity to a degree. And I know that it's not just willpower, which is what I'm saying here, is that there are large social, cultural, economic systems in place that are making people fatter. The obesity epidemic, I think, is due to one, we'll just get out of the way, the natural inclination people have to eat. We are biological survival machines that found it very, very hard to find sugar in our past. So sugar is something where if you were on the plains of the savannah, if you were able to find sugar, then you ate it, because that's like free energy, and that's a lot of energy and very rare to find. But then you end up being in this world. We live in a modern Canada, United States, Mexico, Japan, wherever, where you don't have to be on the savannah, and you're not fighting for your survival, and you find yourself surrounded by super fatty, super high calorie food. It's just going to get easy to munch on that whenever you want, and buy a bag of chips every day. Whereas in the anthropological past of hunter-gatherers, it would have been very, very difficult to find that kind of sugar. So you shouldn't put the blame on fat people themselves or yourself if you're having trouble losing weight, because it's a biological necessity. It's like our desire for sex, or even oxygen or water or whatever. Like it's an ingrained thing. So we're fighting against ourselves in some case. So that's one thing. But I think the other thing where there is a bit more culpability, a bit more guilt, I think, could be put on the corporations, who, I would say that this is a negative externality. And in economics, a negative externality, I might be butchering this, I haven't taken economics for a while, but the idea is that a negative externality is something like a factory produces some sort of material, but then it like belches pollution into the sky. Well, they don't have to pay for that pollution. They can just do it, even though it hurts everybody. The pollution goes and hurts everybody. Well, it's the same thing with fatty foods, is that a corporation, McDonald's and Pizza Hut and KFC and Lay's, they all want more customers. They want more people to buy their food. They don't really care that much about whether the people are unhealthy or unsatisfied with their weight. They're just going to keep pushing out this market, these commercials and billboards and advertisements and all that kind of stuff, and they don't care about you at all. They only see you as a consumer, really. And so there's a negative externality of all these super high sugar and high calorie food companies trying to blast out all this advertisement to get you to buy more of their products, even though you're already overweight. So, I would say don't beat yourself up too much. This is a big social issue that goes far beyond most of us and is a biological issue, like I said. But to wrap things up, I would say if you're trying to lose weight, just focus on the simple fact of calories in, calories out. Try and reduce your calorie intake. So whether that be smaller portions or skipping a meal or substituting something with something else. I found, the easiest way to get rid of free calories is to switch to diet pop, or to switch to, no sugar in your coffee or something like that. Like, get rid of the sugary liquids, because those ones are difficult. They don't satisfy you, they're not filling. So anyway, try to reduce your calories as much as possible, and then over time you'll stick to the habit, and then you will see results, and it'll be satisfying, because that's how the body works, is you're taking in less calories. So that was my video for today. Thanks for listening, and I'll try and make more in the future. Bye bye.